Morning, evening, afternoon from wherever you're watching. You're welcome back once again to the Making Masters, a channel solely dedicated to demystifying mathematics, making complex problems look easy. Alright, today we'll be looking at the roots of a quadratic equation. Now, what do we mean by the roots? A quadratic equation we have established in our previous classes that is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, where the highest power of this x is 2. This is the general form or the standardized form of a quadratic equation. Now, in layman's term, the roots are what I will get when I solve this for x in this quadratic equation. And when we use the completing the square method, we arrive at the formula method, which is x is equals to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now, this is what we solve for x, and usually our quadratic equation always results in having two roots, two answers. So if, for example, if our alpha, let's say if alpha and beta are the roots of this quadratic equation, it invariably means that for me to have arrived at alpha and beta as the value of x, that means my x minus alpha and x minus beta must have been equals to 0, because it is when x minus alpha and x minus beta equals to 0, that is when our roots will be x is equals to alpha and x is equals to beta. So if these are the roots, well, we can find the sum of the roots and the product of the roots from this. Now let's expand this. When we expand this using the FOIL method, x times x, we have x squared, x times negative beta, negative x beta, negative alpha times x, you have negative x alpha, this times this, this times this, you have plus alpha beta equals to 0. Now the next thing we do, we break it down. X alpha x beta, we can factorize x out from this place, so this becomes x squared minus, that's negative x into bracket alpha plus beta plus alpha beta equals to 0. Now we can say this is equation 2, and we can call the standardized form of this quadratic equation equation 1. Now in this place, for me to make this quadratic equation to look like this, all I just need to do is to divide through by a. So if I have ax squared, if I divide through by a, that's ax squared over a plus bx over a plus c over a equals to 0. This and this will go. So I'm left with x squared plus b over ax plus c over a. Of course, if I divide it by 0, it goes off, equals to 0. Now these two, let me call this equation 3, which was gotten from 1. These two now look alike. Look at it, x squared, x squared. I have the coefficient of x here. I also have the coefficient of x here. I have c over a. So I compare the two. That is how the sum of the roots is gotten. So by comparing, we have that the sum, which is alpha plus beta, when I add the roots of a quadratic equation, alpha, that means therefore alpha plus beta, which is the sum of the roots, will be negative b over a. When I compare it, this is negative x. So this is negative alpha plus beta is equals to b over a. When I remove the negative here, it comes here. Multiply both sides by negative 1, so that I will have my alpha plus beta. Now, the product of the roots, which is alpha times beta, equals to alpha beta is the product of the roots, is equals to, where is it standing here? C over a. C over a. So when you are given a quadratic equation, the sum of the roots alpha plus beta is equals to negative b over a, and the product of the roots is equals to c over a. All right, let's look at this first question. It says if the roots of 3x squared minus 4x minus 1 equals to 0 are alpha and beta, find the sum of the roots alpha plus beta and the product of the root alpha times beta. Now the first thing, if you compare this quadratic equation, which is by the standard quadratic equation form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. Now let's compare this quadratic equation in the question. That's 3x squared minus 4x minus 1 equals to 0. So bring out what our a is. A is the coefficient of x squared. So in this place, what is representing a is 3. So our a is equals to 3. Our b is equals to the coefficient of x here, which is -4. -4. And our c is the constant you have here, which is -1. Our c is -1. Now remember the sum of the root from what we did, alpha plus beta is equals to -b over a, which is equals to, so we have our negative, our b here is -4, so -4 over, what is our a? 3. So negative times negative will cancel out, that's 4 over 3. So the sum of the roots of this quadratic equation is 4 over 3. Let's look for the product of the root. The product of the roots, alpha times beta, we're made to understand that is equals to c over a. So what's our c here, which is equals to -1 over our a is 3. So from this question, the sum of this quadratic equation, alpha plus beta, is 4 over 3, and the product of the roots of the quadratic equation is -1 over 3. All right, let's look at this other example. You can be asked to construct an equation with roots 2 plus 1 and root 2 minus 1. These are the roots, the two roots of the quadratic equation or the equation. Now the first thing you need to know, that our quadratic equation, we have that our x squared minus alpha plus beta x plus alpha beta equals to 0. That is the form of the quadratic equation. That means x squared minus the sum of roots times x plus the product of root equals to 0. So the first thing we need to know, let's find the sum of these roots. So the sum of the roots, we add these two things together. That's root 2 plus 1 plus root 2 minus 1. So plus 1 minus 1 goes off. You have root 2 plus root 2, that's 2 root 2, which is equal to 2 root 2. Now we keep the answer. Let's find the product of the roots. The product of the roots, that's our alpha beta. The product, multiply these two things. That means our root 2 plus 1 times root 2 minus 1. Let's expand it. Root 2 times root 2, that's 2. Root 2 times root 2, that's root 4. Square root of 4 is 2. So that's 2. Root 2 times -1, that will give us what? Negative root 2. We are done with this. Let's multiply with this. 1 times root 2 plus root 2. This times this, positive 1 times -1 is -1. So this and this will go off. 2 minus 1 is equals to 1. So the product of the roots is 1. Why the sum is this? So all we just need to do to form the equation thus becomes, the equation is, look at it, we impute it into this place. That's x squared minus the sum of the roots alpha plus beta, which is this 2 root 2. So 2 root 2, we have our x plus the product of the roots plus 1 equals to 0. So this is, we have ended up constructing the equation that has the roots as root 2 plus 1 and root 2 minus 1. So this is the quadratic equation. All right, let's look at the third example. It says construct and simplify the equation whose root is -3 and 1. So the first thing we do, for us to find, we already know that our quadratic equation is of the form x squared minus the sum of the roots plus the product of the roots equals 0. So the first thing, we find the sum of the roots. Sum of roots, this is the first root, -3 plus 1, that will give us -2. Now the product of the roots, will be equals to -3 times 1, which is equals to -3. Now the next thing we do, let's simplify it. So the quadratic equation, the equation thus will be, the equation is, that will be x squared minus the sum of the roots is -2, -2x plus the product of the roots is -3 equals 0. So let's simplify it further. So this becomes x squared, negative times negative is positive, plus 2x. This times this will be negative minus 3 equals to 0. So this is the quadratic equation that has been required for us to construct x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals to 0. All right, let's look at this last example before we go. It says if alpha, beta are the roots of the quadratic equation of the equation 3x squared equals to x plus 1, state the value of alpha plus beta, alpha, beta. That means we should find the sum of the roots and the product of the roots. So the first thing we do, our quadratic equation is 3x squared equals to x plus 1. Let's put it in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. So the first thing is you subtract -x and -1 from both sides. So it becomes 3x squared minus x minus 1 equals to 0. So that we put it in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. Take this to this side. Actually, mathematics you don't take. You subtract x from both sides. That's why I'm having that. When you subtract from the right hand side, it goes off here. Subtract 1 from both sides, -1. This one goes off, 1 minus 1. So now we already know that our sum, the sum of our roots, is equals to -b over a. Now from here, our a is equals to 3. That's the coefficient of x squared. What is in front of x squared? What is multiplying x squared? The coefficient of b here is -1, and our c is also -1. So from here, our sum of roots is equals to negative, our b is -1 over our a is 3. So that becomes negative times negative, that's 1 over 3. And the product of the roots, alpha, beta, equals to our c over a. And our c from here is -1 over, what's our a? 3. So therefore, our sum of roots is 1 over 3, and the product of the roots of this equation is -1 over 3. All right, I hope you have enjoyed today's lesson on how to find the sum and the product of roots, and also how to construct a quadratic equation given the roots. All right, before we go, just like in our usual style, here are some lists of take-home fun that you can practice at your leisure time. The first one says, if alpha and beta are the roots of the following equations, state the value of alpha plus beta, that's the sum of the roots, and alpha, beta. So the first one is 2x squared plus x minus 3 equals to 0. The second one, x squared plus root 3x plus 1 equals 0. And the third one is pt squared minus qt minus r equals to 0. Now the second one says, construct and simplify equations whose roots will be, the first one is -5 and -6. The b part is half and 2. The c part is root 3 minus 2 as the first root, root 3 plus 2 as the second root. If you enjoyed today's class, give us a like, share our videos, tell your friends about the Mickey Mouse class. Please, your mathematics is solely demystified. And if you are yet to subscribe, please hit the subscribe button. Let us know the answers also of this taken form in the comment section. And if there's any aspect of mathematics you want us to attend to, put it in the comment section. We attend to it. Keep practicing till we meet again in the next class. Remember, mathematics is fun. Shalom.